All right. Hi, everybody. I am going to go ahead and mute everyone, and we are going to get started. So thank you for attending another new agent training. I'm excited to see you guys all here. And our topic today is going to be a fun one. It is difficult and or awkward interactions with clients. So if you do real estate any amount of time, you're going to meet some interesting people. And oftentimes the interactions between you and your client can be awkward and sometimes just downright difficult. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that can look like, where I see it most commonly happen, where clients can become difficult, and how to take control of the situation. So first, what I'd like to talk about is confidence. When you're new to something, it can oftentimes be difficult to have the experience and the confidence to handle the situation well. And so I want you to always know that you can call me and we can chat about it, and I can cheerlead you, and I can give you some, behavior modifications you might be able to put in place to help with your client. Sometimes when agents call me and they say, oh my gosh, I've just got this client, and they're calling me every single day wanting to know, like, have you seen any more houses? When can we go out? They're driving me crazy. I will politely tell you what they are telling you with their behavior is that you are not communicating enough with them. And I promise you, if you do not pick up your communication with them, you're going to lose them. They're going to go work with an agent who is going to give them the amount of communication they want. So yes, we're selling houses, but primarily we are paid to communicate. That is our primary job, is transferring information back and forth, communicating with all the parties. And it is going to be very important that you learn how to assess with your clients what level of communication they are expecting. So oftentimes when I have a listing that isn't selling right away, I will 3 days in go, oh, I got to reach out to my seller and chat with them about that. Now, if I don't, inevitably, because I've been doing this so long now, inevitably, if I don't trust my gut and I don't reach out to them that day, by that evening or the next day, I have an email from them saying, hey, Ashley, we haven't heard from you. We're just wondering what's going on with the house. Well, then I'm mad at myself because I could have been in the driver's seat for that conversation. Instead, now I'm coming from a defensive position to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to reach out to you yesterday. Resist the urge to say that, because then it says, I knew I should have reached out to you yesterday. I didn't. I had other more important things to attend to. And now I'm going to get back to you in a reactive way. So what I really would recommend when you're working with sellers is go ahead and put it on the calendar that you're going to communicate with them at least once a week, even if it's an email, to say, hey guys, house didn't sell this week. I am seriously crossing my fingers for the upcoming open house this weekend. I wanted to let you know the house was shown, your home was shown 4 times this week. I got feedback from all 4 agents, and they all said this, that, or the other. Okay. Being the deliverer of information is going to make them feel like you're in control of the situation. It's going to give them some comfort that you're handling it. Even if my email is, hey guys, happy Tuesday. Just wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I'm starting to work on a new marketing plan for Facebook to boost a post about the house this week. Just wanted to give you a heads up. That's going to let them know you're thinking about them. You're thinking about their listing. They're thinking about their listing every day. They want to know you are too. So you need to make it some sort of scheduled response that you are sending out, that you're going to reach on Tuesdays. You're going to reach out to every single seller you're representing at that time. On Friday morning, you're going to reach out to every one of your buyers and say, hey, happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. I hope I get to show you houses this weekend. If anything comes on the market, you know, I'll shoot you a quick text. That is going to go a long way for your buyers feeling like you are thinking about them and the upcoming weekend. They're about to finish up their work week. They're going to hopefully find a house that weekend. They need to know that that Friday morning, you're also thinking about them. Otherwise, if they don't hear from you all weekend and you don't hear from them and you're thinking, well, I guess they didn't see anything on the market, that's when you're going to find out they visited an open house on a Sunday and they bought it from the listing agent. Okay. So you are going to have to pick a day and say, that is my seller communication day. That is my buyer communication day. Now, you may have buyers who are not quite ready to buy. And so if you want to code them, you know, A, B, and C is they just indicated that they might be interested in the future to look for houses. Don't email them every Friday. You're going to drive them crazy. Okay. But go ahead and make sure that the first Friday of every month, you email your C category buyers. Those are the ones that maybe aren't going to buy for a while, but you want to just at least make sure you're still staying on their radar. But the buyers who you are actively working, you should be emailing them one day a week, preferably a Friday morning or a Thursday night, to start getting your game plan together for the weekend. You should be emailing them every week if you're not communicating with them on the daily, which is oftentimes how it is with buyers who are actively searching. So you, like everything, and like all my advice to you is just automate everything. Get everything down to, I automatically do this. On Friday morning, I'm going to craft an email to all of my buyers. On Monday morning, I'm going to craft an email to all of my sellers and just touch base with them. Okay. That is going to head off a lot of these difficult or awkward conversations at the past, because you have been communicating with them. The chief complaint I see is lack of communication. You know, nobody wants to be a seller and you haven't heard from your agent in 2 weeks. However, human nature is that if I'm the listing agent and that home has not sold, that's the conversation I don't want to have. I don't want to talk to them about why their house hasn't sold. I don't want to feel like I'm not performing, you know. That is the very conversation you need to have, you know. And many motivational experts will tell you that should be the first thing you do in the day. Have your hard conversation first thing in the morning. So at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m., that is the phone call or the email you're going to need to send out, okay? And say, hey guys, I feel terrible that we didn't have any showings this weekend. Can we find a time to get on the phone today to talk about why that might be? Okay. And then they know the house hasn't sold, you know, they're curious too why it hasn't sold. So that's the hard conversation you need to have. And to do it first thing in the morning is going to free up the rest of your day. Otherwise you're dreading it all day long. And you're running the chance, and I've done this, you're running the chance that they reach out to you first. Then you feel even worse. Now you have to have the conversation, but they feel like you're only having it with them because they reached out to you first. So please make sure they're hearing from you. Sometimes I will hop on my Gmail and I will craft that email at 11 p.m., midnight the day before, and I will schedule it to go out for 8 a.m. the next morning. That way, as soon as they check their email in the morning, they know I'm on it. Now, I may still be getting ready for work or feeding oatmeal to kids or whatever it is I'm doing, but they think at 8 a.m. I was emailing them my concerns about their listing or my concerns about their home search. You know, people don't like getting bad news, but it's our job to deliver it, you know, in a palatable way. Okay, areas in which I see difficult or awkward interactions take place. Commission reduction requests. You know, you go in to sit for a listing presentation and they say, yeah, we don't want to pay that. We would like to know if you do it for less, you know. That conversation comes up probably 1 out of every 5 listings I take. A lot of sellers just understand that I have done a great listing presentation. I've got my marketing materials with me. I have done an excellent job showing my value proposition. That is, I have shown them what that, in our case, 6% brokerage fee is going to buy them. It's going to buy them a well thought out planned marketing plan. And it's going to have been demonstrated. I've demonstrated the value with my resume page talking about my sales. I've got a page on my signature sales from the previous year to show them what type of homes I've been selling. If you can do a real dynamite listing presentation, they are less likely to ask you to reduce your commission. And for years, I would dread that conversation because I didn't really know how to defend my position, you know? And if I'm being perfectly candid with you, there are many times I take a listing and honestly, the 3% I take and earn for selling that house is more money than I probably should take because it sells in 2 days. You know, it hasn't languished on the market. I haven't had to spend $300 on Facebook boosting posts. I haven't had to do drone photography 2 weeks in because it didn't sell with my professional photos. There's a lot of expenses I didn't incur because it sold quickly. But the point is, you never know what these listings are going to be. You never know how much effort and time and money you're going to have to put into these listings. Our firm charges 6% brokerage. We certainly can't say everyone charges 6% brokerage because number one, that's just not true. And number two, that's called price fixing. And we're not allowed to say that because it gives the public a untrue belief about how brokerages are calculated. There are certainly brokerage companies in town that do listings for less than that. And there are some that do it for more than that. Commercial property, in many cases, is more than 6%. Our firm does 6% listings for residential. What I have found works for me and has worked every time since I implemented it is when I explain to them that our firm's brokerage is 6%, first off, y'all have the benefit of being able to say that I'm a real hard ass and I'm not going to let you do it for less than 6%. Okay. So you can just paint me to be a mean broker who's greedy, whatever you want to do, who I dictate that we're charging 6%. Okay. Now me, obviously they know I own the company. So they obviously think I have some wiggle room, or some sway with the broker. So what I started doing about 10 years ago, and it really has worked, is when I tell them that our firm charges 6% brokerage, what I explain, obviously, very quickly, is that I'm going to share half of that with the buyer's agent who comes and brings us a buyer. And then I say, however, if there is no buyer's agent involved and the buyers who decide to buy your home are coming in unrepresented, I obviously am going to recommend that they have a realtor. But if they choose not to have a realtor, then I am willing to talk to you about that 6% brokerage and perhaps reduce that 6% brokerage at that time, knowing that I am going to have to do a lot of work for that buyer because they're not going to have an agent. I refuse to represent them because I don't do dual agency and our firm frowns on dual agency. However, I will at that time consider reducing that brokerage fee. And y'all can say my broker will allow me to have that conversation with you if the buyer is unrepresented. Then I go on to say, and I tell you this, there are other agents in town who would do this for less than 6% for you. However, I have shown you what my marketing plan is going to be, and it costs a lot of money for me to run my marketing plan the way I want to run it. I think that's what's going to make it successful. I think that's what's going to sell your house. It is very important to me that I have professional photos because that is the curb appeal now, is how the home looks online, not necessarily what it looks like when they pull up to the house. I want that to look good too, but we have to get them to the house. And the online photos is what gets them to the house. So what I will tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is that I don't want to discount my commission, even though you've asked, up front. Because then if I help you now and I discount my commission now at the beginning of the listing, I don't have anything left to help you with later. So when we're negotiating inspection repairs or we're negotiating closing costs for the buyer later, I won't be able to help you with that. So if we reach an impasse where the buyer and the seller are apart by a certain amount of money, you know, I've already cut my legs out from underneath myself at the beginning. I'm not going to be able to help later. But I promise you, I'm not going to let this transaction, this future transaction, fall apart over some repairs. You know, if I can contribute and help in any way, I certainly will. And what has ended up happening for me is every once in a while, I will help with that. I will go ahead and cover a $300 termite treatment or a $150, you know, well and septic inspection. Okay. Now, up front, when you're discounting brokerage, if I were to say in that listing appointment, I'm willing to discount my commission $300, that does not sound appealing to the seller. That does not sound like I'm coming off my price at all. Okay. However, helping out and picking up the tab for a repair, or in this case, we've got a 55-inch TV in the conference room right now because me and the other agent are splitting the cost on a $300 television for the buyer. I shouldn't have to do that. I'm doing it to keep everybody happy. It ended up, I'm spending $147 on a TV. That is huge compared to discounting my commission up front. Okay. So what I've found out is I still come off looking like a helpful agent who's willing to put a little bit of my skin in the game too, but it does not end up being 0.5% or 1% like it would be if I'm discounting my commission up front. You know, if I'm discounting my commission up front, that 1% could be, you know, $2,000. Also, they tend to forget. So we get 6 weeks into the listing and we're negotiating repairs, and they're looking to me saying, you know, I don't know that we're going to be able to pay all this money for these repairs. Well, they've forgotten that I gave up $2,000 at the beginning of the listing, discounting my commission 1%, right? So they have very short-term memory about that. They also, by the end of the transaction, they rarely remember me discounting my commission. They always remember me paying for a termite treatment, or me paying for a 55-inch TV, or me paying for, you know, to shock the well, because it's happening a week before closing. So they really do remember that and feel grateful for that. So that is what I have sort of parlayed my listing presentation into, to avoid that difficult, awkward conversation. The other thing is I just expect that that conversation is going to happen. I wait for it. I'm always pleasantly surprised when they never balk at what I'm going to charge, you know? And again, 4 out of 5 times, nobody questions my 6% brokerage that I'm charging. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that, or any tips or tricks they've picked up over the years?
Oh, got a question.
Yes, Deepak.
I know our firm charges 6% and we split that with, you know, buyer's agent. You know, I ran into a, you know, person like, well, could you charge maybe 5% and you can keep 2.5 and you can give the buyer's agent 2.5? I was like, well, I don't think so. That's my firm, you know, confirm is 6% and we split 3% with them. Is that?
So you can, you know, what we offer on the MLS to buyer's agents is entirely up to us and the seller. However, what I would say is we as agents, buyer's agents, are supposed to show all houses that would fit our clients' needs, right? However, I will tell you, if I am in a time crunch and I can only fit 5 houses into show on Saturday, and one of those is offering me 2% instead of 3%,
Right.
I'm not terribly motivated to fit that one into the schedule. You know, now if it's the perfect house for my client, of course I will, because for the same reason why I do for sale by owners and get paid $2,000. You know, I mean, I certainly am going to do whatever it takes to get my buyer into the right house. However, I feel a little salty about it. You know, I'm a little frustrated about it. However, I don't get to have an opinion about it as the buyer's agent, because that is between the seller and the listing agent. Now, if I were in your position, Deepak, what I would say to them is, listen, unfortunately, my broker dictates that our firm is a 6% listing firm. So that is what I have to charge. Also, and this is true, I want you to offer 3% to buyer's agents. That's what I want our firm out there doing. Okay. So in that case, I would push back and say, well, let's do 4.5%. That way I can continue to offer the 3% to the buyer's agent, so they will want to show your house. Because if I pull up 20 listings right now and just showed you 20 listings in the same neighborhood, I bet you they're all offering 3%. Now be very careful with your language, because again, we don't want to give the impression that quote unquote everyone is charging X or everyone is giving X, because that's not true. And be sure to say that, but you need to be able to illustrate your worth. So one of the things I'm working on right now is a Google Drive we're going to be sharing with the whole firm. On it is going to be my own personal listing presentation. It's about 6 pages long. And it has a resume page and a marketing page and a 30-day marketing plan and a signature sold properties page. And it's going to be customizable to you. You're going to be able to make a copy of it and then swap out your information and customize it to yourself. And when you go in with a 6-page listing presentation illustrating all the ways in which you're going to market this property, I know you're going to feel more confident saying, I'm so sorry, I just can't do it for less than 6%. I wouldn't do you the service you deserve if I wasn't able to do my full plan. So I want to be able to do my full plan that I have worked very hard to craft to get this house sold. And Deepak, sometimes we got to walk away from listings. You know, you just got to say, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do at that price, and walk away. You know, let someone else kill themselves for a client who wants beyond premium service, but they only want to pay a little bit, you know?
Thank you.
Oh, sure. And you know, my previous life, I did wedding cakes for a living. And it was always the client who would just drive me down on price and have me doing it for next to nothing. They were the absolute hardest to please. They were never happy with anything I did. So just keep that in mind too, that there is a personality type who always has to quote unquote get you down on your price, you know, and you're going to find that oftentimes those clients are very difficult to work with all the way through. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is seller doing their own repairs. Holy moly. And all of this is going to come down to me helping you understand ways in which you can control the situation and control your client by staying in communication with them and recognizing red flags as they come up. So sellers are not allowed to do their own repairs. You know, once that house is under contract, they all have to be completed by a licensed contractor unless agreed upon in writing by all parties. But you're going to occasionally have a seller say, oh, well, I'm just going to do this electrical work, and then I've got a buddy who's an electrician and he's going to like write it up for me. No, we're not going to do that. I'm so sorry. We are not doing that. Also, I cannot lie and tell the other party that the electrician did that. So unfortunately, you know, I will not be able to continue to represent you if that's the plan. You know, you have to understand and convey confidence that your license is more important than them saving $150. Okay. So communicate early and communicate often. I was talking to a seller yesterday via text who is very handy, and we got the repair request yesterday. And I texted him after I forwarded him the email with the repair request. I texted him and said, you know, hey there, happy Wednesday. Just emailed you the repair request, period. Remember, we may not do any of these repairs ourselves. Our contract dictates that they must be performed by a licensed contractor. So let's get together and talk about these repairs before we get a plan in action. Because I know how handy he is. He did a ton of work on his own house before we put it on the market, and it looks beautiful. And quite frankly, I would trust him to come over and do things on my house, but that's not what our contract says. And I know he's that type, so I made sure to repeat that. Otherwise, had I not said that, 2 days from now, I might find that half that list has been completed. And now I've got a problem trying to document who did that work. And now we've got to hire an electrician to come in and sign off on all of that. And electricians don't like to sign off on other people's work. And I don't blame them. So make sure you're getting in front of all of those situations. Typically, what I see with agents, and this is typical of newer agents because you just don't have it all down yet, is you have not reminded the seller or the buyer of what is coming up, what to expect, what the next step is. So that is why I really do recommend, like last week's talk, I talked about draft emails. I really do recommend drafting a lot of emails that are going to step by step explain what the next steps are. That way, I've got a draft email set up with the beginning paragraph about the repair request, the removal of contingency form. Sometimes it's called the ROC. And the first paragraph is, hey guys, here's the removal of contingency form. I'll just remind you that that is simply a repair request that the buyer has sent over, and that we will be hiring licensed contractors to complete these repairs. So I'm going to make sure I'm saying that in every email. If I'm on my phone and I just forward this repair request, here's the repair request, I'll call you later. By the time I call them later, they may have already fixed 2 things, and now we have a problem, okay? Almost always when agents come to me with something going sideways, it's because communication has been lacking on one side or the other, okay? And seller doing their own repairs is a big one, okay? Because they do not understand why they need to have a plumber come fix a leak under the sink. I get it. They should be able to fix that. That's not what our contract says, okay? All right, buyer requesting to see houses that are over their budget. Everybody's been there, you know? Hey, a new house just came on the market. Can we go see it? Listen, first of all, that's a giant waste of my time. You're not buying that house, but I'm not going to tell them that. The danger is that now you've shown them how the other half lives and they don't want to live in their $100,000 house. I get it. I go see a lot of those really nice houses and I don't want to go back to my house. So, you know, I want a gigantic bathtub overlooking the mountains. Yeah. Well, if you show buyers houses that they can't afford, it's going to be difficult for them to like the one that they can afford, right? They've just come from a house where they had a 1,000 square foot rec room for the kids to just go downstairs and play in. And now they're in a split foyer and they don't have that available to them. And the problem is they have what we call champagne taste beer budget. And that's everybody. I don't care what price point you're showing a buyer. I can always show them a house out of their price range, right? So we have to be very careful with that. It's very common with brand new buyers to you. You know, perhaps they're a lead off the internet and they're just contacting you about a specific house. Yes, go show it to them, okay? Because you've got to convert them. You've got to convert them into a buyer. Don't do that more than once though. Get them pre-qualified. Find out what they can afford. Only show them homes in that price range, okay? And sometimes I have to be, you know, the mean guy to say, you know what, guys, that house looks amazing. I'm very nervous that that price point is just going to stretch you guys too far. Why don't you call your lender, see if he or she think that you can handle that payment, and then I'm happy to take you to go see it, okay? Another one. Your buyer is going rogue and calling other agents. They're calling yard signs in front of houses. This happens all the time. I'm going to tell you, about twice a year, I get a phone call from a very unhappy agent at our firm who says, Ashley, my buyer bought a house at an open house from the listing agent. Can you believe that? What I want to say is, yes, I can, because I guarantee you were not communicating with your buyer well enough. No buyer of mine has ever done that. And the only reason why is I am on top of them. I am emailing them all the time, making myself available to them. I am making sure they understand the rules. And the rules are, if you want to work with me, and I will kill myself working for you, then you will not call another real estate agent. Okay? Because if you call, and I say, listen, I like to get paid for what I do. It's how I feed my family. I am going to work so hard to find you the house of your dreams. However, if you call another real estate agent, perhaps a yard sign in the front yard of a house you're interested in, and we end up going to look at that house, I may not get paid. That listing agent may say to me, you know what, actually, I already gave them information on that house, so I'm not going to pay you to help them sell this house. And almost always they say to me, oh, I had no idea. And then that's the opportunity where I say, also for sale by owners. Please call me on any for sale by owner you see. I'll set up the appointment. I'll arrange for commission to be paid to me. I'll take care of all of that, you guys. I am your concierge service person here. I'm going to make sure I take care of all of that. You just text me addresses and leave the rest to me. But I make sure I point out what will happen if they do call other agents, okay? Or if they go to an open house and they don't tell that agent that they're working with me. I hand them 10 business cards and say, hey, stick these in your side panel of your car door. If you want to go to an open house, please feel free to do so, okay? I'll meet you there if you want me to, but I don't have to. But would you just make sure you give my business card to the agent holding the open house so that they understand that you're working with me? Otherwise, again, I might not get paid. And I phrase it like that. You know, that may sound a little rough to bring what I get paid into the situation, but honestly, it has kept that from happening to me. And I make sure I say it right up front because it does happen. It happened recently to me that I was working with a buyer and then I got an awkward phone call from another agent who was also working with that buyer. Okay. Now I had not actually met my buyer yet. He's a son of someone who works with my husband. And so obviously I'd been recommended to him. He ended up choosing to continue to work with me. And I then had to have that conversation. It had only been a few days he'd been working with me, but I had to have that conversation with him. Hey, okay, so when he did choose to continue to work with me, I had to say, okay, so there are going to be a lot of agents who contact you, and it's because you're pushing that button on Realtor.com or you're pushing a button on Zillow. I need you to refrain from pushing the button on Realtor.com because what's going to happen, because they don't know what's going to happen. And I tell them, when you push that button on Realtor.com to give you more information, Realtor.com is selling your contact information to 3 or 4 agents, and they're going to start calling you. So instead, just hit that share button and text the address to me. Share that listing with me, and I'm happy to look it up for you. Or just text me the address, and I'm happy to look it up for you. They don't know that pushing that button is selling their information, okay? And that's how he had gotten connected with this other agent who thought he was working with him. So really, your job is to explain all of that to them. I have a draft email that talks about it has like an interview process with them about what type of house they're looking for. So that's obviously one of the very first pieces of correspondence I have with them. As an additional line on there, it says, I am so thrilled to work with you. Here are a few things I'd love for you to refrain from doing. Pushing the button on Realtor.com, asking for more information on Zillow, calling yard signs. Go ahead and have that in that email so they understand that they should stop doing all of those things, okay? A lot of times that buyer came to you through one of those avenues, right? Well, you don't want them to, they've already exhibited to you that they do those types of behaviors. So you need to, stop that at this point. Otherwise, you're going to end up fighting some procuring cause case where an agent is refusing to pay you because they were working with the agent too. With the client too, okay? All right. Seller or buyer conflict between themselves. Oftentimes I feel like I am part real estate agent, part marriage counselor. And this is because those buyers or those sellers are going through a very stressful transaction. Selling your house is stressful. Listen, I'm helping my sister get her house ready for an appraisal and we're all stressed out to the max. And that's not even for anything bad. It's good. We're getting a refi. They're going to be able to cash out and put in a new kitchen. We're super excited about it, but we are tired. We are tired and on edge and cranky. And even though it's for a good thing. So keep in mind that this is just another day at work for us. But these buyers and sellers are stressed out. They're nervous they're going to sell their house and not be able to find another one. And sometimes they're going to take it out on each other. Okay. Um, Sometimes they're not going to see eye to eye with what they want, right? And it's going to be very important for you to not do what human nature typically makes us do, and that is connect with the one who is open and communicative with us and not cater to the other one. Okay. So even if one of my clients emails me a question, when I reply back, I'm going to add the other buyer or the other seller onto that thread. Okay. Because I want to keep them in the loop. I don't want to only communicate with one party unless they have said to me, nope, this is his or her bag. They're doing it. You just let me know where to show up and sign. Okay. I don't want anyone to ever feel, and it's very difficult when the sellers are divorcing or breaking up. That is hard. And, you know, I've worked whole transactions where the blind carbon copy button is my best friend because I'm putting both partners in that blind carbon copy field so that they don't see that the other one is on the email. And I just keep it generic in my message, you know, happy Friday or hello again. And I'm not naming them in that text in the body of the email. That way I'm able to communicate with both of them. They can reply back to me, but they don't see each other on the email. Okay. It's just tips like that that are going to help you have some longevity when working with difficult, awkward situations where the buyers maybe are not getting along with each other or the sellers are not getting along with each other. I promise you that when you're working with buyers, if they're not both on the same page about buying that house, it is going to unravel, you know, so you want to get ahead of that. Who has questions on any of that or anything to share? Any sort of sticky situations you found yourself in and how you got out of them? Okay. So I've just got one last little get business quick idea for you, and that is called Coffee Talk with Another Agent. I highly recommend that you find an agent that you get along with well and meet quarterly. Meet quarterly and have a cup of coffee with each other, have a notebook out and brainstorm ideas with each other. Okay. It can be, and you can just provide a topic to each other. Hey, my topic's going to be getting more Facebook business. Okay, my topic's going to be buying Zillow leads. And then brainstorm those ideas with each other. You've got to pick each other's brains and figure out what each other are doing. You know, I try to bring as many ideas to you guys as possible, but you guys are going to infinitely come up with more ideas. So pick a partner. It really does help with accountability. If you know that you're meeting every 3 months with another agent to just bounce ideas off of them or some scripts you're trying out or asking them, hey, have you had any success with X, Y, or Z? That is going to really, really help boost your performance and boost how you do your business. Share ideas with each other. Say, hey, you know, Daniela, can we exchange draft emails with each other? I'd love to see what you have drafted up and you just send out to your clients. Hey, Kiana, do you have some sort of go-to post you like to put on Facebook that actually you found creates organic engagement where people actually respond well to it? Ask these questions of each other. Show up to those meetings with a little bit of talking points already written down. That way you can get right into business and have sort of some of your talking points that you want to touch on. You make sure you fit those in. But that is my get business quick idea. The agents who I see being tremendously successful in this industry are ones who are always looking at what they're doing, what is working, what isn't working, and what else can they do that would work better. It's just constantly fine-tuning how we do things. When I first started, I didn't have any draft emails. I didn't have a listing presentation. You know, I was showing up with a CMA and that was it. And that's because I didn't have any other papers to bring with me. You know, I had to create all of this. I had to just continually change how I do things. And honestly, my most recent listing presentation, I only developed last year when I was trying to get a listing and the folks were in Arizona and I needed to be able to provide materials I wanted to overnight mail them to them so they got an actual package from me, because they were interviewing 4 other real estate agents. And I knew, since they were in Arizona, all the other real estate agents were likely emailing them all of their materials. So I decided I wanted to do my listing presentation bound. I wanted to put it in an overnight envelope, and I wanted to put a 1/4 pound of Mill Mountain Coffee and Tea coffee grounds, like coffee, in there, because they miss living here in Roanoke, here in Salem. So that's what I did. I sent it overnight mail, and it cost me $35, but I got the listing, and they had a tangible listing presentation in their hands in Arizona compared to all the others being on the computer. So, anybody have anything to share about that? Otherwise, I'm going to let you guys get on with your day.